This is the third video of this irrigation pipeline series. The first video we figured out that a 15-inch pipeline would work. We figured out all the losses, and when it was all said and done, we have about 2 feet of available head still. Now the question is, do we really need 15-inch pipe for the whole irrigation pipeline? Well, you don't. And so I'm going to go through the reason why here, and I'll eventually get a video up on the calculations associated with the new setup. So if we have an irrigation pipeline, and I drew this in the back of a sheet here, let's see. So the given scenario is we have 5.6 CFS of flow going through the main line, and initially we assume this is a 15-inch pipe and that we would be coming out of two 15-inch alfalfa valves. When you open those two, the flow is going to be 2.8 CFS. When the first 5.8 CFS hits this alfalfa valve, assuming that you don't have this valve, if you open that alfalfa valve, technically you should get 5.8 CFS. You don't want that, but you should get that. If you open up this alfalfa valve, now you have 2.8 CFS coming out here and 2.8 CFS coming out here. From this point onward, do you really need 15-inch? No, you don't. A 12-inch pipeline, if you have an HP 42S, the maximum velocity that we allow in our pipes is 5. So if you have a HP 42S and you have the solver for flow, you start that solve program, you're going to enter the velocity max of 5. The diameter of a 12-inch pipe is 11.76, and we're going to figure out the flow that goes through that. It's 3.77. So from this point onward, we could put a 12-inch pipeline to the next alfalfa valve and get what we want of 2.8 CFS. We know the maximum that you'll get through a 12-inch pipeline is 3.7. So when we're planning this, from a construction standpoint, we only have 485 feet from the first alfalfa valve to the second alfalfa valve. So if I were doing this on my own, I was a farmer, I would probably just put 15-inch pipe and eat the additional cost. And that thinking comes from, one, there's just 485 feet of it, but the other thinking is, let's just say that we had to run this pipeline underneath this road to another farmer. Well, that farmer, he may want the whole thing to be 15-inch instead of going from 15 to the alfalfa valve to 12 to the second alfalfa valve. So these are questions you have to ask your producer when you're planning a pipeline. Is he or she going to need to irrigate this field, or does she have a field across the road that he needs to irrigate, thus necessitating the need for a 15-inch pipe? Now the other thing on that is we don't normally plan for future, but it's something to take in consideration, especially if we have a landowner over here that is wanting to has an equip contract with us and wants to irrigate his field. In that case, we could justify a 15-inch pipe. But we wouldn't necessarily be able to justify a 15-inch pipe if this producer was wanting to irrigate a future field over here. That case, we would have this producer, we would install 12-inch pipe and have him eat, or have him, if he wants to put his 15-inch pipe, eat that additional cost. So anyways, I just wanted to point that out, because in the first video the assumptions were that we were using 15-inch pipe from beginning to end, 15-inch gated pipe, and 12-inch or 15-inch alfalfas and 12-inch gated pipe. And we found out that it would work. And now that you guys know what I showed you, if you did the same thing and did 12-inch for the whole thing, I'll leave it up to you to figure out if that'll work. The initial thinking is, if after it was all said and done, we ran 5.6 CFS, which is what we needed, through 15-inch pipe, and we ended up with 2 feet of additional available head, that if you did 12, basically choke it from 15 to 12, you're going to incur more friction, but will you incur enough friction to overcome all of your available head? That's the question. Now you know how to do it. So if you have any questions, just give me a call. Thanks for your time.